UFC 317 just wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire fight card for you guys. We had some amazing finishes, some really great scraps. The lock of the week hit. We're back on track. Great card overall. Let's get into this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Starting the card off, we had DINIZ taking on Alvin Hines. Initially, I picked DINIZ to get the knockout, but I have to give Alvin Hines some respect, man. He is tough as nails, comes from Minnesota. They're tough out there. Dude went 3 rounds with DINIZ, who is a very savvy kickboxer. Granted, Diniz did land some really solid shots, did have Hines in a bit of trouble early on, but for him to be able to walk through a lot of those shots and, later on in the fight, Diniz looked like he was the more tired fighter. It really, it's pretty impressive for Alvin Hines. I say give him like a Muhammad Usman, Hamdi Abdelwahab. He just fought, last week. Somebody of that type of caliber, maybe a Austin Lane if he's still on the roster. I'm not sure, but Alvin Hines, he definitely earned a lot of fans with his performance. He walked forward the entire time, forced majority of the exchanges, showed that he had heart, he had grit. He's a really tough dude, man. And Diniz, unable to get him out of there. I know it was a short notice, replacement, but is definitely the more skillful guy, but definitely didn't have the heart tonight. Alvin Hines was walking through a lot of shots, and like I said, he won, a lot of fans over, even though he lost and was getting tuned up for a majority of the fight. But excellent heavyweight scrap to start the night. I was on X live tweeting majority of the event as well, and come to find out, the last time a heavyweight fight was finished was back in March 15th. But I just thought that was a crazy stat, So yeah, the last heavyweight fight to get finished was Waldo Cortez versus Ryan Spann. And if you guys, been following the channel for a while, we picked Ryan Spann by sub in that fight, but got flatlined by Salsa Boy, who just beat, Sergey Spivak last time out. We picked him there too. So shout out to Salsa Boy getting it done and being the last heavyweight finish. But like I said, shout out to Alvin Hines for showing up and, showing his heart. Next up, we had Jacoby Smith taking on Nico Price. Okay, so Jacoby Smith being the biggest, betting favorite in UFC history, passing Malcolm Wellmaker. I have to say, I gotta give him some flack, bro. He looked tired after that initial, burst, taking Nico Price down, slamming him. Had, top control mount for, majority of the first round. After Nico Price was able to get back to his feet, he was gassed. Nico was, pressuring him, survived the storm. Nico did get, sliced up pretty bad, but he survived that first round storm. Granted, at the end of the round, he did get dropped by a little cheeky jab, but it was just a perfect shot. Nico was out of place. I think he swung like an overhand, got him out of position, and just got caught. Nico Price, man, he's gonna come to fight, and that's one thing that you can't take away from him. Granted, he is like 2-5 out of his last 7 fights, but Nico Price is always gonna show up to fight. Jacoby Smith, however, this dude, I have a little bit of caution around him, man. First round, it looks like that's all he's got. For him to, gas as bad as he did. Granted, he did get the sub in the second round, but he was tired, bro. There were some moments where Nico Price, had he been, probably in a better condition and, able to weather weather the storm that Jacoby gave him, I think a healthier, a younger fighter definitely gives Jacoby Smith a lot of trouble, because I don't know, man. That gas tank is going to be a huge issue for as lean as he is. He makes 170. I wonder how hard of a cut it is. You know what I'm saying? But that gas tank is definitely something that we have to monitor. First round is all of Jacoby Smith, similar to what Terrence McKinney's, issue has been for a while. I think Jacoby Smith is probably a first round fighter as well. But ultimately, he gets the sub in the second round, found the transition, took the back. And he said that's exactly how he planned it. I don't think he planned it, going that long. I definitely believe he was trying to get Nico Price out of there in the first round, as you guys saw, as I saw. And he was unable to do it against, a savvy vet in Nico Price. Glad to see Nico didn't go, get knocked out here, just took the choke and tapped. But I think Nico Price is probably on his way out after this one. Hasn't won a fight in a while. Yeah. I think Nico Price might be hanging it up. But Jacoby Smith gets the win. I don't think he'll be anywhere near a minus 2,500 favorite in his next bout. I hope they match him up with somebody, another prospect, you know. Trying to think on the whim here. Welterweight. Mm, I'm not sure, but maybe they don't. Maybe they slow walk him because it could end up looking similar to how Bo Nickel was pushed, and we saw what RDR did to him. I think if the UFC pushes Jacoby Smith similar to Bo Nickel, I think they he'll find the same feat that Bo Nickel ultimately did. So I think they will end up slow walking the dog. But shout out to Jacoby getting the sub. I needed the KO, but gets the submission in round 2. Next up, we had Terrence T. Rex McKinney taking on Vyacheslav Borschaev. What can you say? I perfectly predicted this. I did think it was going to be a knockout, but I did say, hey, Terrence McKinney's probably going to look to wrestle, and submission is definitely live. What do you know? Vyacheslav throws a leg kick, body kick. Terrence McKinney shoots a double, gets on his back, and chokes him out. Easy. Vyacheslav was, fighting to defend that choke, but he looked a lot like, what Marab was doing against Marlon Moraes when he had him in that choke, kicking or pumping the feet, trying to keep the energy or the oxygen flowing. But yeah, it was too tight. Terrence McKinney was on it, and I think if Vyacheslav probably would have got out of that, maybe Terrence McKinney's gas. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to T Raw getting it done. First round made it quick, bro. Quick. 55 seconds into the first round. You know what I'm saying? Super quick, and this is what we've come to know from Terrence McKinney. First round, he's a demon, bro. I did think it would probably go to 2 rounds. I thought Vyacheslav would probably be able to defend the takedowns a little better, but Terrence McKinney is a well-rounded athlete. It's just that second and third round, what can he do? You know what I'm saying? But I got a lot of belief in Terrence McKinney. I think this is a very good win for him. I know Vyacheslav doesn't have the best record in the world, but this is a really solid win for Terrence McKinney. I think it gets him right back on track, and we'll see him in a really competitive fight next time. I guarantee it. So shout out to Terrence. Next up, we have Viviane Araujo taking on Tracy Cortez. I don't know what Viviane had going on. She was complaining about some type of grease in Tracy Cortez's glove, and it was affecting her vision. But I don't know, man. From the start, she got put on her back for a majority of the first round. There was a few moments where she threatened with some submissions. Did take Tracy Cortez's back momentarily, but Tracy Cortez's wrestling was just too much. The striking, Viviane looked really hesitant. Tracy Cortez's hands were a lot faster, which is what I did say, but I did think, Viviane being, well, on paper, I believed her to be the better grappler, and I thought she had the power advantage in this matchup. That was all washed away with Tracy Cortez's wrestling. She was able to dominate her, control her for 3 whole rounds, almost finished the fight in the 3rd round, landed some really, good ground and pound, and ultimately walked away with a 30-27. I have to say this was a, really piss poor performance from Viviane Araujo. She did not look this bad against Karine Silva, and she did look a lot more tired in that fight compared to this one. So it was just interesting to see Viviane. I'm not gonna say she gave up, but she was just completely dominated, and she did look like an old lady in this fight. So shout out to Tracy Cortez. The pretty girls beat me again. I guess I'm gonna have to start picking them, I guess. But Tracy Cortez gets it on the scorecards. Next up to the featherweight bout, Jose Miguel Delgado with the knee from hell, bro. Hyder, the Hurricane Amil, man, he was, distraught by losing this fight. But if you guys watched the replay, as we all did, that knee was perfect. Hyder Amil was stiff as a board, smacked the canvas, did pop back up kind of quick, but he took about like 2 or 3 shots, and he was not responding. He finally got up after the referee broke the fight up, but I mean that was a great stoppage in my opinion. It kind of reminded me of the Timmy Kawamba. What was the guy's name? Roberto Romero, I believe his name is. Timmy Kawamba, Roberto Romero finish where it was a knee up the middle. And Roberto hit the canvas. Did pop up quicker than Hyder Amil, but Hyder Amil, man, he's a dog. He wants to keep fighting. He always wants to keep pushing forward. He was unable to, and this one got dropped and finished. But I mean, he'll see another day. He is 35, so I get why he's so upset. He doesn't have a lot of time on his side. Whereas Jose is what, 27, I believe. He's gonna be a problem for this division. He's long, he's lanky. The striking is solid. Was able to defend. I believe Hyder shot a takedown. Was able to defend it pretty easily. Jose's gonna be a trouble for the featherweight division, and he's calling out William Gomis for UFC Noche down in September. I don't know if he's gonna get that fight, man. I think we're gonna get I think Kevin Vallejos is gonna end up on that card. I know he said he's got a fight booked. I think it's gonna be for UFC Noche because he is a monster too. So think about the featherweight division, bro. Look from the top and then look at the unranked contenders. Jose, Kevin Vallejos, you got Gene Silva taking on Diego Lopez for UFC Noche headliner. Featherweight division has always been fire, but shout out to Jose beating me by a knee. Next up to the prelim finale, we had Jack the Joker Hermanson taking on Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez. Yo, RoboCop looked amazing. Took his time, found the shot, and ultimately sent Jack Hermanson to the shadow realm. Was it an unnecessary punch? Yes and no. I would say that's on Herb Dean. Herb did not step in fast enough, and Gregory gave him one more for good measure. Sometimes fighters got to have a little bit of discernment. Maybe he shouldn't have, landed the shot, but maybe he thought Jack was coming back to his senses and said, no, let me, put a stamp on it. I think he wanted to stamp it because, he just got finished in his last fight and he wanted to, get that feeling back. Gregory is a powerful striker, bro. Whole fight, he was getting a little tuned up. Jack was, sticking and moving, cut RoboCop's face up, but that's also, from the scar tissue that he's already had. He had that nasty cut from, what's his name? The Brazilian guy that fought, a boost a few cards ago. I can't think of his name. I think it was that fight. Uh, Not Tavares. Bruno Ferrer. Yeah, I think that was the fight where he got the cut, or it was the Chitty fight. It was one of these two fights where he had that nasty cut, down his forehead. But yeah, gets the finish, stamped it, sent Jack Hermanson. You know, that was a bad finish. I gotta say, he landed the left hook perfectly clean and followed up with something that Jack probably didn't need to take. But it is what it is, man. RoboCop gets it done by the knockout. He was super patient, like he said he was. Did not come out hunting for the knockout right away. He just ultimately found it, and he found it in the worst way for Jack Hermanson. So shout out to RoboCop for getting the finish. Prelims were fire, man. I gotta say, knockout, decision. This fight was was entertaining. It was okay. Terrence McKinney getting a quick sub, Jacoby Smith getting a sub, and then Alvin Hines showing the heart. Prelims were pretty fire. Through the prelims, we missed on what, two? Viviani and Hyder. Yep. So we were 1, 2, 3, 3-2, or 4-2. Excuse me. Going through the prelims. Next up to the main card opener. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We had Peyton Talbot taking on Felipe Jungle Boy Lima. This was a bad IQ performance from Felipe Lima. He was, forcing the grappling exchanges where he didn't really need to. He was winning some of the striking exchanges. I think he was just really too cautious of the power from Peyton Talbot, because Peyton Talbot can definitely crack. I did call him as a live underdog. I just, ultimately picked Felipe Lima because I believed Peyton Talbot wouldn't have been able to train for the grappling as well as he ended up doing. I have to say Peyton Talbot's grappling defense looked amazing. It looked, night and day. I did believe that the Peyton Talbot that we had against Raoni Barcelos was probably an off night. Maybe him and Frank were going through some issues. Who knows? But Peyton Talbot is definitely back in the good graces of the UFC. He's definitely back in the favor of the fans, and he showed up and, showed why he is one of the more famous, unranked bantamweights in the division. Felipe Lima, though, man, I don't know. Yeah, I think he was really just scared of the power. He did get caught with a couple shots. Did look like, in the third round, Peyton Talbot was going to finish him. He landed that spinning heel kick that wrapped around his head, had him crunched up against the cage, landed a straight shot that, made Felipe Lima crumble a little bit. Peyton Talbot's power is legit. Felipe, he did have a lot of volume, but not enough. If you look at the strikes, 165 to 70 definitely wasn't enough. But he did land some solid shots. Not saying that he had Peyton, hurt or anything, but definitely, threw his head back a few times with some solid, shots down the middle. He did land a spinning wheel kick of his own that, clipped Peyton Talbot on the chin. He ate it pretty well, though. Peyton Talbot is a monster, bro. He can walk through a lot of shots. He was defending the takedowns really well, and he looked great. I gotta say, he looked great. I don't regret picking Felipe Lima, but I do wish I would have picked Peyton Talbot. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out to Peyton Talbot to getting back in the win column with a pretty spectacular performance, man. He looked really good, I gotta say. Next up to the unction, Beneil Dariush taking on Renato Moicano. I told you guys Beneil Dariush was gonna do it, man. Nobody believed me, but here we are. First round, pretty frantic back and forth, striking exchange. In round one, Renato drops Beneil with a straight right, crumbled him. I thought it was going to be over from there, but Beneil was able to, recover pretty quickly. Shot for the leg, definitely, trying to, save himself and get some time to recover. Ultimately survives, goes into the second round, and absolutely dominates Renato Moicano. Takedowns, smothered him with top control, landed, some gritty ground and pound, nothing significant. Threatened with a few submissions, but really just blanketed Renato Moicano for the second round. And I told you guys Renato is good for the first round, but that gas tank starts to depreciate over time. And Beneil definitely exposed that. Third round, a little bit more of the same. There were some opportunities for Renato to reverse some takedowns. He did. Ultimately, I believe he got on top one time. Beneil was able to reverse that since he was the better wrestler. Got back to their feet, exchanged some strikes, and ultimately it was Beneil pushing the pace the entire later half of the fight. And Renato just did not have enough in the gas tank for him. He got his money. He didn't need to win this fight, whereas Beneil Dariush needed to win this fight. And if you listen to his post-fight interview, he said all glory to God, and that's exactly what I believe. He walked out to like a gospel song, so you could tell his energy was definitely higher than Renato Moicano's throughout this entire fight. And shout out to Beneil Dariush getting it back in blood, man. Took some big shots, was sliced open, but he still came out as the victor. And I told you guys he was going to win as a close money underdog. I know I don't think he closed as a favorite. I think ESPN has it wrong, but I do think he was an underdog at close. But when I picked him, he was an underdog. But yeah, close money, whatever side you were on, overhit. I did believe Beneil Dariush was going to do it, and he did. Shout out to Benny, getting it done. Next up to the fight of the year, bro. Fight of the decade, damn near. Brandon Royval, Joshua Van. Ooh. I think they combined for the fourth most, strikes in a strikes landed in a UFC fight. I think that was the stat that they posted. Bro, I gotta say, Joshua Van did start a little bit slower than I expected he would. Brandon Royval got off to a hot start, landing the jabs, the teeps down the middle. He was threatening that knee a lot too, which I thought would be a problem. But Joshua Van, his vision was pretty good. Did avoid majority of the early strikes. Was eating some leg kicks from Brandon Royval, and then he started to get his boxing going. Was landing to the body like I said he was. Ripping some pretty impactful combinations. That was really the story of this entire fight. Joshua Van would land more thudding shots where Brandon Royval had, a lot of volume. The knee kept coming up the middle, and I was cringing every time that I saw it. But Brandon Royval, man, his pace was undeniable. Both of them were landing some really good shots. Joshua Van was landing more over the top. Brandon Royval, straight down the middle. The jab was there for him all day. He was picking Joshua Van apart with that jab. Second round, definitely more of a Joshua Van round. I know Brandon Royval had the higher volume, but Joshua Van was landing, with more thud and knocking Brandon Royval back, split him open, had his face busted up. I didn't know. I don't know how these guys kept that pace up for this entire fight, especially Joshua Van. After the fight was over, he said he broke his toe against Bruno Silva, and he's coming off a 3 weeks notice. This was a crazy pace. This was insane. Third round, Joshua Van gets the knockdown, damn near knocks out Brandon Royval and puts the stamp on his, claim to the featherweight, or not featherweight, flyweight, title challenger. Joshua Van is the real deal, bro. And a fight against Pantoja, I don't know how I picked that right now. I don't know. Pantoja's tough as hell, bro. The relentlessness that he showed in his fight, it was just, I don't want to jump ahead, but damn, Joshua Van was, walking forward majority of the fight. Did get backed up a few times from the jabs from Brandon Royval, but that was definitely fight of the year. Brandon Royval, I don't know if he's gonna go up to bantamweight. I think he does, because I don't really know what fight is there for him. I mean, yeah, you could probably, rebook the cop fight, but I don't think 3 times. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the UFC's gonna do it. I think they are gonna book Manel Cop versus Kai Kara France. That's a fight that I think would. There's already a beef behind. I don't think either of them are probably gonna get the title shot. Well, neither of them are gonna get a title shot next, especially not Kai Kara France after he just lost for the second time trying to get a belt. And then Manel Cop, he just pulled out. He doesn't have the level of wins to get a title shot. I thought he might have been granted with it, but no. So yeah, Kai Kara France versus Manel Cop. I think that's what's going to happen. Brandon Royval, if he does move over to bantamweight, oh man, he needs to hit the gym. You know what I'm saying, to up that power, up the strength, because he can put a really good volume on guys, but I think he has the pop to knock anyone out up at bantamweight. I I don't know where Brandon Royval goes from here, man, because he is kind of like in that ultimate gatekeeper spot, similar to what uh Max Holloway was in when Volk had his title run. So it's interesting if Brandon Royval stays at flyweight. I mean, he'll definitely have some fun fights, but I don't know if he'll get back to the title. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he does, and we get Josh Van. If Josh Van beats Pantoja, maybe we get Josh Van Royval too. Because I would definitely pay for that fight. That could definitely be a main event. Because this fight was incredible. I would take my hat off, but my hair look a little crazy right now. But yeah, fight of the night for sure. I already know they got it. I don't need to look it up. This fight was amazing. Shout out Joshua Van. The lock of the week. We are back in the W column. Damn, it felt good to hit. You know what I'm saying? Although it was a slight favorite, man, a lot of people gave me a lot of flack for picking Joshua Van as a lock too. Oh, you're bugging for picking Van as a lock. Royval's gonna sub him up. Now look at me. I'm the winner now. Me and Josh won. That's how I'm feeling. But yeah, back in the W column to get the lock of the week streak back going. So shout out Joshua Van with a tremendous performance here. And then he came right back cage side to watch the next fight, the flyweight title, Alexandre Pantoja taking on Kai Kara France. Went exactly how I thought it would. Pantoja walking through anything that Kai was throwing. The power was not going to be a factor in this fight. Pantoja is too menacing. Literally, he just walks forward and he will take you down and he will take you back and he will choke you out. And that's exactly what he did to Kai Kara France. Round 3. Yeah. Kai Kara France, man, I don't think he's ever going to get a title shot again. How old is Kai? I think he's like 30, 31 maybe. Kai is 32, yeah. I don't know if he's ever going to get another title shot. This one was gifted to him, you know what I'm saying? Does he beat Manel Cop? I don't know. I think Manel Cop could probably sting him up too. Um, Probably goes to I don't know. I think Manel Cop could probably knock out Kai Kara. But I think that's the fight that they should book. Then I don't know where Kai France goes from there, man. It's not going to be a title shot for probably the next 4 fights, if I have to say. Maybe they do him versus Usyk too. Maybe that win was a fluke. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But that mean mugging stuff he was doing at the beginning of the fight, just for him to get, choked out. Pantoja ran through him, and we have to give Pantoja his respect, bro. He's probably come, what is it, Tuesday when they update the pound for pound list? If he's not top 6, then the UFC needs to stop disrespecting this man, because I'm going to pull it up right now. Alexandre Pantoja is number 9. He's definitely ahead of Poatan. He's definitely ahead of Aspinall. You could put him. He's definitely ahead against JDM. Put him ahead against Volk and Ankalaev. So, yeah, Islam, Murat. Well, so whenever they update this, I think Ilya is gonna be 1. Islam is probably gonna be 2. Marab, Dricus, and then Pantoja. That's how I would have it. Pantoja definitely deserves to be over all of these guys, in my opinion. None of them have a title defense other than, well, yeah, he's not ahead of Dricus, but just won the belt, just won the belt, just won the belt. You know what I'm saying? Pantoja and Aspinall was not a, what is it, undisputed champion. He was an interim champion. So Pantoja should be 5th. Yep. Ilya, Islam, Marab, Dricus, Pantoja. That's how I would have the men's pound for pound. So give Pantoja, the cannibal, his respect, man. Next up in the main event, I'm getting a little upset because Charles Oliveira is my favorite fighter. You know what? I'm actually going to go and grab the gloves that I have that my girlfriend got me, because this fight just really, hurt my soul. So these are Charles Oliveira signed UFC official gloves that I got as a gift from my girlfriend. And watching Charles Oliveira get crumbled like this actually hurt, but I really like Ilya, bro. So it was painful, it was bittersweet, but damn, what a performance from Ilya Topuria to knock out Charles Oliveira like that. That was crazy, bro. Charles did look good to start. He did. I think he landed a shot on Ilya that kind of buckled him a little bit. Had a leg lock attempt. Showed that he wasn't afraid to try and take Ilya down. He did get reversed. Ilya's judo background, or sambo, I forgot which one it is, definitely showed in this matchup. The strength definitely looked to be. I think Ilya was a little stronger than him. Him moving up to 155 definitely proves that he was really sucking himself up at 145, and the power definitely translates, bro. Charles Oliveira was out cold. He took 2 shots unnecessarily. The right hook put Charles to sleep. The left hook was another for good measure, and then took 2, hammer fists as he was laying there lifeless. It was a rough watch, but I really like Ilya Topuria, man. He definitely just cemented himself as top 5, top 6 UFC fighters or combat, fighters of all time. The run that he is on right now is just amazing. I can't compare a resume to it. You know what I'm saying? Volk knockout, Max Holloway knockout, and then Charles Oliveira knockout. This is insane. And then whoever is next, if it's gonna be Patty, I think Ilya knocks him out too. Patty stands super high, or with his chin super high. He does have, a big height and reach advantage, but Ilya just showed that does not matter, bro. If he touches you, you're going down. Patty, I don't think Patty's gonna be able to take him down either. He might be a little stronger, but Ilya is so calculated, bro. This dude is, like he said himself, he's the next generation, and I don't see him losing the title. I think he knocks out Islam too. That's how confident I am in Ilya Topuria. This dude is one of one. And if he beats Patty, if he beats Islam, whoever's next, he could go down as the greatest fighter of all time, bro. That's how good this dude is. The boxing, the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu is all there. He's really complete. He's a super complete fighter. And yeah, he put Charlie O away. I'm still gonna, I'm definitely keeping these or nothing. I'm not about to throw them out. That would be retarded. Charles Oliveira is my second favorite fighter of all time. So John Jones, Charles Oliveira. I got to throw Ilya in there. Stylebender, and then Volk. Those are. I got a long list. I've been watching for a while. Usman's in there. Um, I really liked Mauricio Shogun Hua when he was fighting. I liked Mirko Krokop. He wasn't one of my favorites, but I definitely liked him. But Ilya's in there, bro. He's undeniable, the run that he's on and just knocking out all the goats. This dude is sick. Ilya Topuria, first round knockout. He said it. He was going to do it, and he did. And yeah, what a performance. What a performance. Now let's move to Makai's money making plays, the parlays. So if you tailed with Joshua Van Pantoja plus 143, that hit. Dariush money line, AMIL money line, unfortunately, and then the under 1.5 and Price versus Smith does not come through. None of the rest of the parlays we didn't hit except for the first. Definitely had some motion throughout them, but Jacoby Smith gets a sub. RoboCop gets the knockout, and Pantoja gets a sub. Ilya gets the knockout. DINIZ goes distance, and then Van, wins. Pantoja, Felipe Lima drops the ball. Dariush wins by points. There's a lot of almost, but I hit on some pretty good props. If you guys want to, tell the props that I did hit on Dariush by decision. Josh Van lock of the week. Almost hit the knockout for Josh Van. And then what else did we hit? We also hit on. There's another one, but I can't think of it right now. But yeah, DM me wherever you guys, find the content, and I can link you into the Discord that I'm in. We're giving some pretty good money plays in there. But that is what I got for UFC 317 full card recap. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was an amazing card. I'm going to, probably rewatch a lot of these fights over and over again because it was a really spectacular night of fights. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I had a long day today, and, I don't feel one bit of tired sitting up, making this video, going over the fights with you guys. So I appreciate you all for tuning in. I will see you guys for the next fight card. A couple weeks from now, I'll get a little bit of a break. Derek Lewis versus Talison Teixeira. So tune in for that. I'll have the picks pretty early for that one as well. So see you guys later.